Vishnupada Paramahansa Acharya Ashtottara Shata Srimad Abhay Charana Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki, ISKCON founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada ki, Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki, Grantharaj Srimad Bhagavatam ki, all glories to assembled devotees. All glories to assembled devotees. All glories to assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada ki. Hare Krishna. Welcome to the morning Bhagavatam class. Today we are reciting the verse from Canto 3, Chapter 23, Devahuti's Lamentation, and the text number 13. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Just please repeat with me. Sarva Kama Dugam Divyam Sarva Ratna Samanvitam Sarvardi Upachayo Udarkam Mani Stambar Upaskritam Sarvakama Dugam Divyam Sarvaratna Samanvitam Sarvardi Upachayo Dharkam Mani Stambar Upaskritam Sarvakama Dugam Divyam Sarvaratna Samanvitam Sarvardi Upachayo Dharkam Mani Stambar Upaskritam. Prabhuji. Sarvakama Dugam Divyam Sarvaratna Samanvitam Sarvardi Kam Mani Stambar Upaskritam. Sarvakama Dugam Divyam Sarvaratna Samanvitam Sarvakam Mani Stambar Upaskritam. Mataji. Sarvakama Dugam Divyam Sarvaratna Samanvitam Sarvardi Upachayo Dharkam Mani Stambar Upaskritam. Sarvakama Dugam Divyam Sarvaratna Samanvitam Sarvardi Upachayo Dharkam Mani Stambar Upaskritam. So word to word meaning. Sarva, all, kama, desires, dugam, yielding, divyam, wonderful, sarvaratna, all sorts of jewels, samanvitam, bedecked with, sarva, all, riddhi, of wealth, upachaya, increase, udarakam, gradual, mani, of precious stones, stamba, with pillars, upaskritam, adorned. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Translation. Please repeat. It was a wonderful structure bedecked with all sorts of jewels, adorned with the pillars of precious stones, and capable of yielding whatever one desired. It was equipped with every form of furniture and wealth which tend to increase in the course of time. Purport. The castle created in the sky by Karda Muni may be called castle in the air, but by his mystic power of yoga, Karda Muni actually constructed a huge castle in the air. To our feeble imagination, a castle in the sky is an impossibility. But if we scrutinizingly consider the matter, we can understand that it is not impossible at all. If the Supreme Personality of Godhead can create so many planets carrying millions of castles in the air, a perfect yogi like Kardama Muni can easily construct one castle in the air. The castle is described as Sarva Kama Dhugam, yielding whatever one desired. It was full of jewels, and even the pillars were made of pearls and valuable stones. These valuable jewels and stones were not subject to deterioration, but were everlastingly and increasingly opulent. We sometimes hear of castles thus bedecked on the surface of this earth also. The castles constructed by Lord Krishna for his 16,108 wives were so bedecked with jewels that was no need of lamplight during the night. So, let Mangalacharan. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Militam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantika Andeham Sri Guru Sri Yuta Padakamalam Sri Gurum Vaishnavamsha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakanvitam Sha Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sutu Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpa Tarubhyascha Krupa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktarunda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Welcome once again. So that verse number 13 from Canto 3 and chapter 23. So we have been reading the pastimes of Devahuti and Kardama Muni. Kardama Muni married to Devahuti, and after marriage also they were continuing with the austerity. They are not having any material enjoyment or anything. So after some time, Kardama Muni realized that Devahuti was doing selfless service, and so she wanted to give some benediction, and then Devahuti wanted to have children. They want to beget the children. Even the Kardama Muni is actually the initial instruction from Brahma was to create the progeny. That was their Brahma's order. So they wanted to start the family life and create the children. So that's where then he started creating this castle. So in this verse, and from last verse and this verse and the subsequent verses, we are seeing the mystic power of Kardama Muni, how he has created this very big palace in the sky. So in the today's verse, the main focus is on the various qualities of this castle. So it was mentioned that a castle it's a wonderful structure bedecked with all the jewels. So it's created, it's not in the surface of earth, it's in the sky, it's in the air, and it's created, it's with a very nice and big opulent castle. It's all the jewels were decorated, the castle was decorated with all the jewels. And generally if you see, sometimes in the current space, science and technology, like we have if you see the Russian and American, they are very dominant in that area, space technology, right? They have a space center in Earth's lower orbit. And every year, every now and then, both America and Russia, they'll send the people there. They will do some research, and when they go there, they try to send all the photos from the top, from the space station, how the Earth is looking, all those things they will send. And when people see, they will, on the social media, people will be astonished, amazed, and they will be surprised by seeing from the space station, how the Earth is looking like. But if you see, this Kardamuni, it's during the first Swayambhuva Manu. We are almost the 6th, 7th Swayambhuva Manu, right? So it's some billions of trillions of years back. So the Kardama Muni created the castle in the air. So that is what we can see. But when we see the small space stations, we feel very amazed and wondering. But so many years back, we could see the Kardama Muni, what kind of technology he developed with his mystic power. We can see that I thought of giving a brief comparison with the current technology and what Kardama Muni did with his mystic power. And apart from that, the pillars of the castle is made with precious stones and other decorative of jewels, right? The precious stones and marbles. And another important quality of this castle is Sarva Kama Dhugam. Means whatever desires, when you go into the palace, whatever desires you have in your mind, in your heart, it will be fulfilled. In general, when we construct any palace or any big building or any big farm, if we buy, what is our situation? Most of the cases, we go for a banking. We take the loan, we take the mortgage, and after buying the big house, big palace, big farm, what we do? We keep working hard to repay the mortgage. But in contrast, the Kardama Muni created, all the desires will be fulfilled. So that is the potency of the castle. It's not an ordinary castle. It's he created with the mystic power, and it has all various different features which we cannot imagine, we cannot perceive with our normal senses. And not only that, generally in our normal material world, when we construct a building, we use the iron, any other sand or bricks, many other things we use. But what is the life of those ingredients? After 100 years, after 60 years or 70 years, 100 years, those things will be deteriorating, the quality of those ingredients. And we need to go for fixing the renovation, or we have to do many other, redo the things, or demolish the house or rebuild everything, because it will become old and you will have problems in the house. But quality of this palace, the jewels, stones, the day by day, the opulence will be increasing. So they will be looking more beautiful, more than previous. So these are all the various qualities of the castle created by Kardama Muni. So why Kardama Muni created this castle? So because he was a devotee, he was doing severe austerity. So they wanted to, till this point of time, they were in the hermitage and they were doing severe austerity, both Devahuti and Kardama Muni. And now they want to start a family life. To have the proper family life, when they get children, they have to accommodate everything, right? They need a nice house. So that is the reason he created this big palace, to support his family with his mystic power. And how he created? He created with his mystic power, mystic yoga. We remember previously we were discussing Kardama Muni did yoga, the meditation, for 10,000 years. He did all the bhakti mixed with the yoga together. He did it. Ashtanga yoga he did, and then he got all the mystic powers he acquired. With the help of his mystic powers, yoga powers, he created. Just we'll briefly touch on what is the Ashtanga yoga in relation to this verse. We already discussed in previous verses, but just roughly I will touch upon this Ashtanga yoga. So this Patanjali yoga described that there are three things, like soul, super soul, and prakriti, material. These are the three components particularly he described. And the soul is always conditioned in this material world. When it is conditioned in this material world, soul exhibits certain characteristics in the conditioned nature. What are those characteristics? Avidya. Avidya is no knowledge, lack of spiritual knowledge. No, there is no, they don't have a knowledge about how we are related to super soul. Who are we? We are a soul and Krishna is super soul. What is our relation? They don't have, the soul will not have this knowledge when it is in a avidya, in the conditioned state. And next one is asmita. The soul will have a false ego. False ego, it's identifying, the soul will identifying the body as a, soul will itself as a, self is nothing but a body. So that is the asmita, false ego. And raga, bodily enjoyment. So you will more focus on your bodily sense pleasure and enjoyment. And then we have a dvesha, hatred. You will have a hatred on others. If someone else is doing some good thing, you will have some kind of hatred. Dvesha will be there in your heart. And abhinivesha, absorb in matter which leads to fear of death. So you will have a fully on into the bodily platform. So body, you're thinking in terms of bodily. You are looking for bodily enjoyment. Everything in bodily conception. So these are the characteristics when soul is conditioned. And Patanjali suggested the yoga process, the various steps, yama, niyama, asana, pranayama, pratyahara, dharana, asana, dhyana and samadhi. These are the various stages of the, when you do this, finally you will realize the super soul in the heart. You will see Vishnu. And so what are the yama means? With the following the rest, like the, what are the strict vows which we can take, like the moral disciplines, moral vows, like the ahimsa and speaking truth, like those sort of brahmacharya. These are all the niyamas we follow as part of yama. And niyama, positive duties, like cleanliness, surrender to higher power. These are all the niyama stage. And asana, you will be sitting on a particular posture and you will be meditating. And then pranayam, and you are controlling your air. And pratyahara, and you slowly starting withdrawing the senses. And dharana, so you will started absorbing the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vishnu. And you will dhyana, the meditation, and finally samadhi. When you are in the samadhi state, you will see Vishnu. But this is only, this is not a devotion. This is only Ashtanga Yoga, you see Vishnu. But when the Kardama Muni, along with this Dhyana Yoga, he also did some devotion. That's where Lord Vishnu appeared and he gave the benediction. So this is briefly about Ashtanga Yoga. So by doing this kind of Ashtanga Yoga, Kardama Muni got the mystic power and he was able to create the castle in the air. Now, this castle in the air, Kardama Muni created. There is an English proverb, right? So this is the castle in the air means you are imagining something which is not real. This is what the castle in the air. You are constructing something in the dreams or in the imagination. You are constructing. In the real, it is not possible or it is not there. That is what the castle in the air, the proverb says. So how we can understand this? We are in this material world also. Prabhupada using this, the proverb, the castle in the air, to explain our material conditioned nature. How our conditioned nature is situated in this material world. Just we are trying to compare with this proverb, castle in the air. How we can understand? There is a story, a small story, with the help of small story we can understand. Like there is a potter. He always makes pots and he will be selling for good price. So one day he made 100 pots and he was thinking that for cost of each pot is $1 he identified. And then if I sell for $2 on each pot, he will get $1 profit. So I am having $100, 100 pots. So at the end of after completing all the selling, so he will have $200. Then he was thinking, okay, in the $200 again I will invest. I will make more pots. And then I will get another 200 pots. And from 200 pots, again I will sell for $2. So like that he is calculating, imagining. Then after getting some money, I will buy a house. And after buying the house, I will marry a girl. Then the wife will come and she should be obedient to me. And if she doesn't follow my instructions, I will kick out of the house. And he started kicking the legs in the imagination, in the dream. Then what happened? All the pots were there in front of him, were smashed out and broken. So this is what the building castle in the air. So this is the nature of the castle. So we think that which is unreal, which is not real, and we are dreaming and we are trying to get the pleasure of from those unimaginary imaginary things. We are trying to get the pleasure. Same thing in this material world. Everything is temporary, and we are trying to get the happiness. That happiness is not the real happiness, right? They are only the temporary things we are trying to associate and get the pleasure. Whereas this is not the real happiness. This is how Prabhupada comparing the castle in the air, how we can apply in our material life. This is how our situation. So we are taking the shelter of the material energy to get the pleasure. And everything is material is temporary. So the happiness which we get is not real. And we can take another example also to understand more in detail. Suppose now it's in summer. Everybody will be, most of the people with their family, kids, they'll be going to beaches. And even in Australia also full of beaches everywhere. Here also in nearby area we can see many beaches here in Sydney as well. So they go to beach. And small kids, when they go with the family, there is small kids who are not able to swim. What they do? They'll sit on the beach, sand, and they'll try to make small castles or houses. So what is the status of that small castle? If the big tide comes, it will hit the small castle made by the kid with the beach sand, it will be wiped out. Not only that, if suppose parents come, after 2 hours or 3 hours they spend in the beach, and then parents will come, okay, let's go. What the kid will do? He will leave the castle, whatever he built, and he will. So same thing, in the material world, everything is temporary. As long as we are in this body and we have the material soul, our body is having the consciousness, soul is present in the body, we will be able to do this. But once it is out, we died, then everything will be, no, there is no connection. Based on our karma, we will go to the next life. We take whatever birth, we don't know, based on our karma. So you will not have any connection to whatever material things you acquired, you possessed from the various activities and to get these temporary things, you work hard. So this is the nature of the material world. So the castle in the air building, this is what the Prabhupada explaining how this world is temporary. Not only that, we can take one more example. In last few years, most of the banks have the low interest rates, and people started accumulating the wealth, like the new properties, investment properties like that. Suddenly, banks started increasing the rates. Now you are paying more money and more mortgages, right? So you had a plan that, okay, I'll buy some investment property, I'll get some money with a low interest rate, I will give it for rent, I will get more money. But now, the situation is reverse. So this is how the material nature. We try to derive some happiness, but it is only temporary happiness. It is not the permanent happiness. After some time, you will be having difficulties. Some or other, this is the nature. Nature is nature. The material world nature is like that. Some with unexpected things will happen. We lose the property. Like we see, last few years, the COVID came suddenly. So much disruption happened. So many business they closed because people are not. They're not doing it. They are not able to generate any revenue. So they closed all the business, the shops. And even if you see, the many people try to get the house, big houses near beach side, and many of when the floods came, like last few years, we were having continuous rains. Many times, many people evacuated. So you bought a big house and big buildings, everything, to have enjoyment. But sometimes you will have a pleasure, but finally you will lose the thing because of some material nature is like that. You will be losing that item, or you will be leaving the body, or something will happen to your possessions and you will lose the material things. So this is the nature, how we can understand the building castle in the air. This is what we are doing in our current world. And there is a great Vaishnava called Vidyapati, Srila Vidyapati. He composed a nice bhajan, and that also explains our conditioned nature. Just I'll read out that bhajan, the first poem from the bhajan. Tatala saikate vari bindu sama sutamita ramani samaye tohe visari mana tahe samarpala abu maju abo kohe khanje So the meaning is, O Lord, completely forgetting you, I have offered my mind unto the society of women, children, and friends. But this experience has been just like offering a drop of water onto burning hot sands of the beach. How can I possibly be relieved of this great misery? So we'll try to. So what the Sri Vidyapati explaining is, whatever happiness we are looking in this material world is like a drop of water in the hot sands in the beach. So if we try to analyze further, so same thing. Like we try to acquire many things, assuming that it will give pleasure, it will give happiness. Once you go inside whatever acquire the possessions and you start enjoying, yes, for some time you will be having a happy life, happy times. But after that, you will be having some issues. The analogy given in this verse is like, suppose if you are in the desert, it's a hot, scorching heat there. When you are in like 45, 50 degrees centigrade temperature is there in the desert. When you are trying to walk on the desert, you feel very hot. Even it will be very difficult to stand in the desert. What will happen then? What you feel? Okay, better to have some water. You will be looking for some hot water, cold water. So that will subsidize the heat and you feel comfortable. That's what you will be looking. So how much water you need? It's a big desert. It's not drop of water is not enough. You need millions of gallons of water you need to create the cold weather atmosphere in the desert, right? Same. If you get a drop of water, the water is valuable, but one drop of water in the hot desert, how it is helpful, right? It won't fulfill your requirement. Just a drop of water. It won't suffice. It's not sufficient to build the cool environment in the desert, right? Same way, the material thing, we in the material world, we try to associate with the friends, family, children, everything. So the kind of happiness we get with associating with them is same as a drop of water in the hot desert. That is the analogy. How much ever the happiness we get with hot drop of water, one small drop of water in the hot desert, same as like in the material world, when we associate with our friends, family, and relatives. That is the pleasure, whatever, that is equal to one drop of water. So this is how Vidyapati is explaining the material nature. And now, the next thing, by listening all these things, like this material world is temporary, unreal, and we should not look for happiness, right? When we listen all these things, it's not, the intention is not to leave everything and go to the forest and do meditation. And the intention is, first we need to acquire the knowledge. We need to understand the knowledge. With the knowledge, when we understand, that will give us an idea about what kind of material world we are living in. So that is our knowledge. By reading these purports, by these lectures, by listening various acharya, first thing is we need to get the knowledge. The required knowledge we will get. The next stage is, once we get the knowledge, we will have more conviction on our devotion process. So we start continuing with the Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, we will be doing. So once you see we are continuously doing that, what will happen? You will develop some higher taste on the devotion. Then obviously, when you develop higher taste on the devotion, you will lose all this interest on, you will be detached automatically from the lower material energy things. So Vishaya vinivartante niraharasya dehina rasavarjam rasapyasa param dushta nivartate. Param dushta. When you get higher taste, you will be ignoring the lower things. So by listening all these things, you should not leave everything and that okay, this world is temporary, but you follow the process. Everything is scientific process. Prabhupada mentioned that's why it's science of self-realization, right? So everything is a scientific way, proper make a process we have to follow. You develop your devotion, and gradually you lose the taste on these material things. Then you will not try to build castle in the air. Rather, you will be, or if at all you build, also you will be a real castle in. So with the devotion, like how Kardama Muni did. And there is one more devotee, Prabodhananda Saraswati. So now the next thing is, after seeing this castle in these things, like the castle after building, like when you see the Kardama Muni build a castle in the sky, air, right? Similarly, when we see the material rich things, many opulent things in the material world, people will be bewildered. people will be surprised. Oh, this guy has done so many things, like he got a big house, or he got a luxurious car, or something. He did some great things, and people will be wondering, oh, how he did this. But the Prabodhananda Saraswati, he was also a great devotee of in the Gaudiya Sampradaya. The Prabodhananda Saraswati, initially, he used to be Sri Sampradaya. He used to live in Srirangam. But later, when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu visited the South India and the Srirangam, then he went with he's a brother of Venkata Bhatta, I think so. So later he also became we started worshipping Radha Krishna, and he started following Gaudiya Sampradaya. So this Prabodhananda Saraswati was mentioning, devotees should not be bewildered by seeing such material things. Big, all the material opulence, we should not be bewildered. And he also made a nice analogy in the real thing. Suppose for a devotee, what he does? So he engages his senses in the service of the Lord. Like and in the normal material conditioned nature, our senses will be like a venomous snake. It will have poison in that, right? But once we engage our senses in the service of the Lord, all the senses will be cleansed. That if the snake is there, when you take out the poison from the snake, even kid can play with the snake, right? That is the situation of the snake. Same way, when our senses are engaged in the devotion, when we started doing the devotion, our senses will be cleansed, and then that senses with that sense, it will not be poisonous. So this is what Prabodhananda Saraswati is mentioning. So when you are conditioned, it's like a poisonous in the snake, but once you devotion, like your senses will be freed up, and then it will be like the dead snake without poison. So that is how he is giving the analogy. So why devotee is not bewildered? The next question. Like suppose the devotee should not be bewildered, and when a senior great devotee who has been practicing their bhakti from long time, by seeing all these things, he will not be bewildered. Why? Like if it's like we can see the example, that's what Prabhupada explained in the purport. So Supreme Lord Vishnu is lying on the casual ocean. When exhale or inhale, when he exhale, all the universes will be coming out. And when he inhales, all the universes will be dissolved. Right? When he exhales, all the universes will be created. And when it is created, then Garbhodakashayi Vishnu will be entering into each of the universe. And the universes will be floating, and the universe will be maintained, right? So, like the devotee knows that this is the process Krishna creates, and this is how the material universe is surviving. So, who is Kardama Muni? Kardama Muni also a great devotee of the Lord. He followed the mystic yoga. Like if you are all the normal living entities are part and parcel of Jiva, Krishna, right? So, we will also have a qualities like Krishna in a bit smaller way, in an infinitesimal way. So, we will not have the same like Krishna, but we will have a smaller quantity. So, that living entity, when he does a mystic yoga, obviously Krishna will benedict with all the mystic power. So, with that mystic power, he will create. So, devotee will think like that. He will understand based on the scriptures, based on our shastras. He will understand the mechanism behind the universe creation. Whatever is happening, he will see through the shastra. He will see through the eyes of Shastra, he will understand, and he will not be bewildered. This is the process how it is. So that is how he took the shelter of Krishna, shelter of our scriptures, shelter of a guru. Then with that help, he will not be bewildered by seeing such amazing things. In a normal conditioned person will be surprised. But devotee know the process behind how it is working, he will not be bewildered. And next one is Prabhupada mentioned in the purport. It's not only in the Krishna when he was in the Dwaraka, in this material planet. So what he created various he was having 16,108 wives, right? So for each of his wife, he created a palace. And what is the nature of the palace? It will be illuminated, self-illuminated. Like even the night also, you don't need a lamp. The palace itself will be like a light. So that is the power. Like we know, right? In the Bhagavad Gita, we have a verse. Natad bhasayat suryo nashashanko pavaka yadgartvan nivartante taddama paramam. In the Vaikuntha planet, Krishna, where he resides, it doesn't require any light. With a bodily effulgence, light, everything will be shine. The same thing we can see that Krishna is living in Dwarka. He created all the material, all the various palaces for his wives, but those are all self-illuminated. They itself will become a lamp. So, but when people see this, when the normal people, again, the people will be wondering, how come this is happening? Why this is happening? But the devotee will know the power of the potency of the Krishna. We all know the pastime of Brahmana and cobbler, right? So most of you heard, but I will be. This is very relevant to understand this topic. Like one day, Narada Muni, the one Brahmana was there. He was very nice Brahmana. He is doing all the devotional things, everything nicely. And one day Narada Muni, he met Narada Muni. And that Brahmana asked Narada Muni that, can you check with the Lord, since that Brahmana knows that this Narada Muni is going to the different places and is going to see Vishnu in Vaikuntha. Then he says, Narada Muni, next time when you go to Vaikuntha, check with Lord when I will be coming back to Godhead. Then same thing, the next, Narada Muni went to Vaikuntha and he was talking to Vishnu, and he raised the question. This Brahmana in the place was checking how long he will be taking to come back to Godhead. Then Lord Vishnu replies, it will not be this, it has to stay more lives required to purify, for the purification. Only after that he will be coming back to Godhead. In the same town, one more cobbler was also there. Then Narada Muni was asking, how about this cobbler? Then he said, he will be coming in the same current lifetime only, he will be back to Godhead. Then Narada Muni got surprised. This is guy, other side one is a Brahmana, he is here, and he was doing all the things properly. And other is a cobbler, he is not educated, but he is a sincere devotee of the Lord. So why? Then Narada Muni, Lord Vishnu tells Narada Muni that you go and ask this question. They will ask like what Lord is doing when you are in the Vaikuntha. Then Narada Muni, the Lord, Vishnu suggests Narada Muni to give the answer. He is trying to send the elephant through the eye of a needle. Vishnu is doing. So that is what Lord Vishnu tells Narada Muni to convey this message. So he comes back to the Brahmana and Narada Muni. And the Brahman asks, what did Lord replied? So Narada Muni told that, no, it will take more lifetimes. Then he will not believe. Oh, I am doing so much austerity, everything in this devotional activity, I should be going. And then he thinks that okay, Narada Muni is just telling, okay, what Lord is doing when you are there in the Vaikuntha. Then Narada Muni tells that, okay, Lord is trying to send the elephant to the eye of a needle. Then the Brahmana says, oh, you are laughing, you are telling lies. This is not how Lord will, how the big elephant can go through the eye of a needle. That cannot happen. Right? So that's why you are not telling the correct information, you are lying something, the Brahmana. Then he went to the cobbler. Cobbler also asked the same question. Then the Narada Muni tells that, okay, the Lord is trying to send the elephant to the eye of a needle. Then cobbler will be very much, he became very happy. Oh, Lord is, he can do anything. Lord is so great, he can do any kind of thing. Then that was his conviction. So then Narada Muni understands what Vishnu told. The other side, Vishnu doesn't have, the Brahmana, he does all the activities, but he doesn't have strong faith on Krishna. But whereas this cobbler, even though he is not well educated, he doesn't know many shastras, but he is having the devotion. He believes that if the Lord is doing something, Narada tells, oh, Lord can do anything. So that is the faith, belief we should have on Krishna. So then we will not be, same kind of attitude we should also develop in us. So we should not, by seeing all these material things, we should not be bewildered. We should think that with the Lord, anything is possible. Krishna can do anything. Rake Krishna mare Krishna rake. If the Lord wanted to kill someone, nobody can stop. If the Lord wanted to protect someone, whatever you do, you cannot kill him. So that is the nature. So Lord can do anything. Everything is possible with the Lord. If we have this kind of vision, now belief in us, then we will not have any bewilderment by seeing this material world. So this is the key message from this verse. We should have a faith in the Lord. So another thing is, suppose by seeing all this, sometimes by seeing all these material things, you feel that okay, some people are looking using the big cars or luxurious cars or big buildings, living in the big buildings. Then you think that, oh, why did I choose this path? I'm not associated, I'm just simply focusing on devotion, I'm ignoring all material things, but other people are enjoying, right? So these things will be coming into our mind. But this purpose, the message mentioned in this Prabhupada, right? This material and enjoyment is like a building castle in the air. It is a temporary. So with this knowledge, we can overcome that kind of thoughts. Like in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna mentions that Ananyaschinta yento mam ejana paryupasate tesab nityabhiyuktanam yogakshemam vahamiham. What does it mean? So Krishna says, whatever you have, I protect. Whatever you lacking, I'll give them. So Krishna will take care what you need, what is required at what time. So simply you do the bhakti and sincerely surrender to Krishna. And don't get bewildered by saying these all material things. So if in your destiny, if it is written, Krishna will give you at some point of time. And if it is not written, whatever you do, you won't get it. So Krishna will, that's what, he will protect what you have and will give you what you are lacking. So that is what Krishna is assuring. So we simply take this word and believe, surrender to Krishna and continue our devotion. Don't get bewildered by seeing all these material opulence and riches in the current material world. So with this, I will conclude this today first. Any comments? Yes. See, yes, Mataji. So what your question is that the Devahuti and Kardamu, they are doing severe austerity. But in other places of the scriptures, it was mentioned this kind of austerity is not compulsory, right? So how? Supposed to be following like their sort of pastime is for us. It's like an example to us, like we should be doing devotion like that. Yeah. So. Yeah, the devotion. Yeah. See, like that's what even I was mentioning in my last week lecture as well. So, like I was giving the example. Prabhupada used to sleep for only 2 hours, 3 hours in the night, and the rest of the time he used to writing the commentary on Bhagavatam. And what I was at that time, while explaining that, I was mentioning that we should not blindly follow that. Like that is the first thing. What we have to do, we should take the shelter of our Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra. Progress in our devotion. When you get that devotion, you will reach a stage you automatically, you wanted to do that kind of services if you are in that mood. But we should not try to follow that just blindly. We cannot take this. So that person is doing this many like big services, I also wanted to do. So if you try to imitate, then you will suffer. You will lose the taste and you will deviate from the path. So rather than trying to imitate, focus on our developing the bhakti. When bhakti is, you reach a particular stage, you will automatically, based on your internal wish, you will be able to do without any difficulty. But yeah, so Devahuti and Kardamuni, that is their mood, they wanted to do it. So they did, but we cannot simply copy them. So our focus should be on growing in our devotion, and at one stage of point of time, if we are deserve to do that kind of big services, we will get the opportunity and we will do it. That is how we should look into that. Yeah. See, like he was reading the scriptures. Swadhyaya is also devotion. See, he's doing the meditation, right? Along with the meditation, I remember this was I was conveying. I remember from the verse when we were discussing about Kardama Muni, 10,000 years. So he was doing the devotion, right? The devotion, what kind of devotion? In the various steps of Patanjali yoga system, we have meditating on Lord. Is there, Supreme Lord. And you are, when in the first 4 stages, Niyama, Pranayama, before that there are certain rules. In that we have a Swadhyaya, means reading the scriptures is there. These are the various steps in the yoga, the different stages. So when he is doing that, the normal people may not strictly follow in the devotion mode, just read for the sake of reading. But the Kardama Muni, he followed the scriptures, he understood who is Krishna, who is Vishnu. And with the knowledge, when he sees the Krishna, he will Vishnu after final stage of the yoga, when he realized the Paramatma Vishnu, he understands with the scriptural knowledge that, okay, this is the Vishnu, he is having these many qualities, all the past times he was remembering with the devotion. This is how he developed the devotion with the yoga, mixed devotion, mixed with yoga. Yeah, that's what the one, some of the stages in the Patanjali yoga system, it is mentioned, right? Swajjaya, Yama, Niyama. Those are the stages where you do all these things. Yeah. Yeah, because there are various stages in the yoga ladder, right? So in some of the stages, it is Swajjaya is there. Swajjaya means reading the scriptures. So with the scriptures, you will get the knowledge of what you are going to see, whom you are going to see, right? So that will develop the bhakti. Yeah. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai.